Hello everyone. In this session, we are going to look into the answers of the questions which were wrong in the practice set 2, and I scored 80%, but I see there are 12 incorrect answers. So we are going to look into each question and answers and see what was wrong. So this is the first question. We can see what authentication method can be used to connect to an Azure SQL. I marked it as OAuth authentication, but the correct answer is database authentication. You can see why that was incorrect. You can see database authentication is correct. Azure SQL database supports database authentication when used as a direct query source in the Power BI, and you can see why other answers are not correct. Windows authentication is incorrect. Windows authentication is not supported for Azure SQL database in direct query mode. OAuth authentication is incorrect. OAuth is not supported for Azure SQL database in direct query mode, and this is also not supported in the direct query mode. So the next one is question number 2, which is correct. What two sensitivity levels allows users to indicate data confidentiality levels? And you can see why others are not correct. For example, configure row level security is incorrect. Sensitivity levels are used for general data classification, not row level security. And set user permission is incorrect. Setting user permission configure user access, not data sensitivity. Sensitivity levels are used for data classification. So next question is this one. It is incorrect. So you have CSV file containing user complaints data. So here what I did is I separated this one 11 characters and set a new data types to date. So I focused on this one, but it seems like it's incorrect, and the correct answer is split the column at the delimiter of at, as you can see here. So I thought setting data type to date is correct answer, but you can see why other options are incorrect. Question number 4, what is the maximum supported dataset size when using the regular import mode in Power BI? I marked it as 1 GB, but the correct answer is 10 GB. Next question, which query combine mode horizontally joins two tables? So I marked it as merge, which is correct answer. Append is incorrect. Append stack tables vertically with no joining logic. That's why it is not the correct answer. Similarly, group by aggregates data but does not join tables. Aggregate is incorrect. Aggregate performs calculation like sum or average but does not join tables. So this explanation is quite important in order to understand other options as well. Question number 6, default number of rows that Power Query profile for statistics when loading the data. It is 1000. Next is maximum number of scheduled refreshes for the Power BI Pro. It is 8. You can see Pro license workspace allow maximum of 8 refreshes, not 48. So next question is question number 8. What is the benefit of disabling load for unused Power Query? So avoiding unnecessary data loading to the model. Next one is 9. So here user reports the visual are slow to load and interact with. What should you recommend to improve report performance? So I said split the visuals across multiple report pages, and it is correct. Next one is 10. Yeah, I was thinking it should be 15 minutes, but I was confused. So incremental refresh can be configured to run as frequently as every 15 minutes. This helps reduce load on the data source compared to full refreshes. Okay, incremental refresh in Power BI 15 minutes. This one is correct. Italicized query names, they are not currently loaded in the data model. And here the column category of the table wasn't found, and reason I marked as the column was removed from the source Excel file and renamed, so that was correct. Question number 13, it is what should you use in Power Query editor? So I said merge queries because we had the related by the order ID column, that's why it should be merged. 14, what is the purpose of setting date time in Power BI data model? Usually it is the time intelligence, which is correct, and this one is also correct. Removed unused columns from data models table. What should you recommend to improve the report performance? So removing unused columns is going to improve the performance. What happens to the source data when connecting directory? And in the direct query, data remains in the original data source. The next question is, what process involves checking that the output of the query? I was a little confused about the invoking of function. So let's see, it's correct. Data profiling examines the Excel data to validate the query's output reflects the source data accurately, and invoking a function is incorrect. Invoking a function executes a set of codes but does not validate the output. Okay, so next one is, what type of schema contains dimension table related to dimension table? So it is obviously snowflake. If it is fact table with dimension, then it should be star, but in this case the answer is snowflake. Question number 19, which is incorrect. You can see there are 5 reports, 2 dashboards. You need to grant read access to 1 dashboard and 3 reports to Azure. So yeah, I was thinking this one as well. Create an Azure Active Directory group containing all the users and share the dashboard and reports there. But I thought creating an app would be the solution. Let's see. Publishing an app containing is incorrect. Publishing an app grants access to its contents for the entire organization, which is more than what is needed. Okay, it is just for user of the Azure Active Directory, maybe. Yeah, okay. So the next question is, which is also incorrect, what users can certify Power BI dataset to mark them as trusted data sources? Workspace administrators. I mark this as workspace administrators, but it is authorized users selected by Power BI administrators. Okay, so why not workspace administrators is incorrect. Workspace admins do not automatically have certification rights, so they need to allow. Okay, next question is, what is the maximum number of active relationships? So it is always 1. Next question is, you need to visual the 10 products categories. So clustered bar chart is the correct answer. So you can see why not area is correct. An area chart shows trends over time, not comparison across categories. Funnel chart is incorrect. A funnel chart shows stages in a process, not a category comparison. Line chart is incorrect. A line chart shows trends, not comparison between categories. That's why clustered bar chart is the correct answer. This one is wrong. It should be one to many because product might have many categories. So how I marked is, I said categories, product categories have many, one product might have many subcategories, so it should be one to many. Okay, yeah, it should be one to many. I took it in different way. Okay, so what methods can be used to share Power BI dataset so other users can build content with it? Share through a workspace app, share individually with user permission. Next question is, what data types should be used in Power Query for the column that contains numeric product ID with the leading 0? So it should be text. Which role can view all dataset in workspace? It should be members and above. What feature in Power Query can be used to reshape pivoted columns into rows? So it is unpivot columns. Next one is, you need to enable managers to review in the format of Excel, PowerPoint and PDF. So it should be paginated report. This one is incorrect. Sync the slicer page 1 and page 3 On each page, modify the slicer visual interaction to control which page visuals are affected. Okay, this is the correct answer, but I marked the wrong one. Let's go for the next one. So for the on-premise data gateway, there are two gateways, personal and standard. And next one is for the template file, it is .pbit, Power BI template. What content is said when you publish the Power BI? Only the content you select to include in the app. What does it indicate when the Power BI report, dashboard and dataset is promoted? So the content has been certified and accurate and is approved for broad uses. Promoted means certified as accurate. What is the recommended schema type to use in the Power BI? For the data modeling, it is star. What is the purpose of use relation function in DAX? So it is to activating an inactive relationship between tables. So here we need to choose which two recommendations allow users to set slicer value in one page that will filter all 4 pages, synchronize the slicers across all 4 pages, or replace the slicers with report level filters. So it should be to compare the composition of different product categories across region. It should be 100% stack bar chart, because if you see the pie chart is incorrect. A pie chart shows absolute values for categories, not relative comparison or breakdowns. Tree map is incorrect, or tree map is better for showing hierarchical categorical data, not comparisons across regions. Waterfall chart is incorrect. Waterfall chart shows a running total across sequential categories, not a breakdown across regions. And this one is, you need to use Power BI desktop. What should you do for the SharePoint? So I selected the folder, not the list, and combine and load, and that is the correct answer. Next one is there is a table, sales table with due date, order date and delivery date. So we need to rename the date table to due date and create the tags over the order date and delivery date as a calculated tables. What is the purpose of tags opening balance and closing balance? It's pretty simple. To calculate the account balance at the start and end of each month. To increase the likelihood that anomaly detection identifies anomalies, what should you do? I was not sure about this. Increase the sensitivity setting is correct. Increasing the sensitivity setting adjusts the boundary for what is considered an expected versus anomalous value. Increase the expected range transparency setting is incorrect. Increasing the expected range transparency setting would not directly help anomaly detection identify more anomalies, as it only changes the visual appearance of the normal data range. Add a data field to the legend field well is incorrect. Adding a data field to the legend field well would not directly help anomaly detection identify more anomalies. Add a data field to the secondary values field well is incorrect. Adding a data field to the secondary values field well would not directly help anomaly detection identify more anomalies. So that's why the answer is increase the sensitivity setting. What data transformation technique in Power Query can be used to reshape tabular data by rotating column into values? I think it was on pivoting columns. So pivoting in Power Query rotates column values into rows. Okay, yeah, column values into rows is pivoting. Okay, I just got confused. Pivot values column to rows. Okay, column to rows. Next is, what is the main benefit of setting of parameter for the data source location in the Power BI? It allows changing the data source after publishing a report. What is the key difference how calculated columns and calculated tables are computed in the data model? So as we know, calculated columns compute values row by row, while calculated columns computes values for the entire table. That's why this is the correct answer. And here the difference between username and user principal, so it returns the user and the login name, and user principal returns the email address. So this is incorrect. Let's see, add a bookmark navigation button to 1. The correct answer is create a bookmark for each visible page. The question was page 1 and 4 are visible to users and 5 page is hidden. You need to create a solution that allows user to quickly navigate between the visible pages. Oh yeah, it should be create a bookmark for each page, visible page. So this is related to the field that has the greatest impact, so we can always use the key influencers. So if you can see, Q and A is incorrect. The Q and A visual allows natural language queries but does not provide the influencer analysis. Smart narrative is incorrect. The smart narrative visual tells stories from the data but does not identify key influencers. Decomposition tree is incorrect. The decomposition tree visual breaks down a metric into contributing factors but does not rank influencers. Next one is, what feature in Power BI allows you to group visual together so that they can be shown or hidden as a set? The selection pane. So this one is for the publishing data, Excel data to report. So we need to have the on-premise data gateway, and you can see why other options are incorrect. Difference between sum and sumx function in DAX. Sum aggregates total value while sumx iterates row by row is the correct answer. You can see which DAX function test if all values in the column meet the specified condition. It is all satisfy. If you see any satisfy is incorrect, because any satisfy function test if any value in the column meets the condition. Every satisfy is incorrect because there is no every satisfy function in the DAX. Check satisfy is incorrect. There is no check satisfy function in the DAX. Next is this one is incorrect. When a customer segment is selected in the bar chart, you need to see the portion of the total monthly sale that segment in the column chart. I marked it as set a filter column chart based on the bar chart selection. So it should be set highlighting on the column chart based on the bar chart selection. Okay, this should be the correct answer. So you can see why other are not correct. Next one, the purpose of designating a table as a date table is to use the time intelligence function in the report. That is the correct answer. What happens to a column in the data model when it is hidden? The column remains in the model but it is not displayed. That is literal meaning of whatever is in the question. Next one is, my workspace is nothing but the personal workspace. And what is the difference between remove rows and remove duplicate transformation? So number of rows will be affected. Next one is, what capability does the Q&A feature in Power BI provide? Enabling query, it is for the natural language questions. So next is, you are developing a Power BI report that will connect to data from a project management. Which data connector in Power BI desktop should you use? So I marked it as Dataverse, which is correct. Next is, you need to add a reference line showing the median salary across employees. So add a percentile line showing 50th percentile of salary is the correct answer. So look at the other option. There is no way to show the median salary on this chart. Is incorrect, and there are multiple ways to add a visual reference for the median salary. Create a median line by using the salary measure is incorrect, because the salary measure does not contain any aggregation logic to calculate median. Add a constant line using the overall average salary is incorrect. An average line would show the mean, not the median salary. And this is the last one. uh, which is incorrect. Which storage location of the for an Excel file allow publishing its data? Yeah, I was thinking incorrect. OneDrive is correct. Oh, I marked it as locally on a computer, which is incorrect. It should be SharePoint. Locally on computer is incorrect. Excel file is stored locally on computer can be published directly to Power BI. Okay, so here the correct answers are OneDrive and SharePoint. So this ends the review of all the question answers, and we saw why the questions were uh, answers were wrong. So thank you for watching. See you next time.